Hello, welcome to Moment of Clarity. Folks, we did it. We finally did it. Yes, it's happened. Donald Trump has been impeached for the second time. I think we should thank the Academy. You know, it's an honor just to be nominated, honestly. But yes, two-time MVP impeachment. Incredible achievement. As a president, as a man, just phenomenal to see that he has done it. The rare double impeachment. So rare, never happened before. And I'm sure he's if he could be here, I'm sure he would thank you. I'm sure he'd thank everybody for all the hard work they've done, all the long hours that they had to put in to get a dual impeachment. Wasn't easy. But if you knew if one guy was going to pull it off, it's going to be fucking Donald Trump. Fucking Donald Geraldo Trump. Pretty sure that's what the J stands for. Yes, Donald Jonestown Trump pulled it off 2 in a row. Boom. Fucking match that, Andrew Jackson. Match that, Bill Clinton. Donald Trump got impeached for causing an armed insurrection at the Capitol. What did you do, Bill Clinton? Huh? Fucking sticking a cigar in some women? That's what you did? You call that an achievement? Putting a few cigars in some people? Come on. Armed insurrection. Way to go, Donald Trump. Boom. So yeah, the impeachment went through. I mean, it's not. So most of you already know this, but it's technically he is impeached as long as they vote to have impeachment, which is the trial that won't happen before he leaves office. So he will not be kicked out of office or anything, but it still counts as being impeached if the House votes to impeach, to bring charges against him, which is what they just did. Most of you, and that's the same reason Bill Clinton never got kicked out of office, but he was technically impeached because the House voted to bring impeachment charges against him. And same with Trump's first charges having to do with Ukraine, standard corruption in Ukraine, which most of you know this. I've said this many times. They could have impeached Trump throughout these 4 years for actual real shit. For actual, emoluments clause, enriching himself with the presidency, fucking bombing innocent people every goddamn day. They could have, I believe they could have impeached him for sending humanity off an existential cliff with environmental destruction and climate change. But the Democrats don't want to do that, right? They don't want to impeach him for those things because they do those things too. They love those things. Those things are their hobbies, their pastimes, their loves and their passions. If you read their Tinder profiles, it'll say right there, destroy the environment, likes, destroying the environment, bombing children, putting kids in cages, deporting as many people as possible, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the Democrats don't impeach him for those kind of things. They back with the Ukraine, the first impeachment, that was, it was corruption, but because he basically was saying to the Ukraine, I'll send you missiles if you bring these, if you investigate Joe Biden. But that's nothing unusual for a U.S. president. We do that all the time. We say that we basically say to countries, or the suggestion is obvious, we will give you missiles, we'll give you billions of dollars in aid, quote unquote. We'll pay you with democracy promotion money if you do various things for us. If you vote with us on the UN, etc. If you give us resources. If you allow us to have our puppet people running your government, which I don't know if you've seen puppet people. They're about this tall, and they have wooden noses, and they're fucking adorable. But so they didn't. So the first impeachment, not serious among the Democrats, standard corruption stuff. This latest one, which they voted on today, and the final number was 232 voting for impeachment, 197 voting against impeachment. So it passed. 10 Republicans also also voted for impeaching Donald Trump. And here's the thing. I am totally fine with Donald Trump being impeached. Fucking for so many things, as should previous presidents have been as well. And right now, yeah, Donald Trump should be, let's say he wasn't leaving office in whatever it is, 8 days or whatever. He should be impeached for leading an armed insurrection at the Capitol. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. The problem is that this won't do anything, right? Because he's leaving office anyway. And they're not going to get it through the trial or anything. Won't go through the Senate in time. Mitch McConnell's not going to do that. So it's not going to happen. Nothing's going to happen further with this before he leaves office. But more importantly, and this is the part that no matter what discussions you see on your mainstream media, you will not see this. You will not see them mention this. You will not see them discuss this for the most part. That what's going on right fucking now in America, why you have 33% of America or 32% or something still thinks Trump is doing a great job. Still thinks he's doing a great job. So what you have to figure out, what you have to look at and figure out in this country fucking right now is, why do these people feel this way? Why are they this furious? Why are they willing to believe utter horseshit from a fucking orange carnival barker? Like, all he's missing is the top hat, honestly, and maybe a curly mustache. Why is it that people will believe this shit and are willing to storm the Capitol building, some of them armed, in order to, risk jail time, which some of them are in prison now, risk getting arrested, risk getting shot, as we now know. Why would they be willing to do that right now? Why are they willing to believe his lies and his fucking awful, awful shit? It comes down to most of them, many of them, their lives have been destroyed. They don't have much, right? They're not living happy lives. They're not able to feed their families. They're not able to hold down a job. They're getting paid dick. And so I'm not justifying what they did. This is the same discussion that's had around 9/11. You should be able to discuss why people are fucking furious with America without it meaning, yeah, and I'm fine with people doing anything. I'm fine with all kinds of violent attacks. Those two do not have to go together. I'm not okay with armed insurrection and their goal, if you listen to some of the leaders, was to arrest or hang or kill various lawmakers. I'm not okay with that. And yet I think it's important to talk about the immense inequality and the immense oppression that goes on in this country. And that's how you end up with people willing to believe fucking bullshit, willing to follow a dancing fucking clown who says he won the election and everything he ever does is great and everything he's ever, he shits out marble sculptures better than any artist has ever produced. He tells them that and people go, oh my God, of course he does. They believe fucking anything. 33% of America, a third of America is like, I want some of those turd sculptures he shits out. I wonder if they sell them on eBay. I want one. And it comes down to, people are struggling, having a hard time. So if the Democrats really want to do something that would stop this from being an issue, even after Trump's out of office, if they really wanted to do something, then they could do it. And it would be about helping people. It would be about giving everybody health care. It would be about creating a sustainable future. It would be about rescuing our environment from ourselves. It would be about forgiving people student debt and not $10,000 worth, fucking all of it. What was it? Biden said $50,000, then he went down to $25,000. Now they're talking about getting rid of $10,000 of student debt. Eventually, it's going to be a fucking coupon for Hamburger Helper. They're slowly going farther and farther back. I believe it's actually further and further back on the student debt. And And all these, as I covered on Redacted tonight, I did a whole segment on it. Most of these things Joe Biden could do in his first couple days if he really wanted to. There are legality. There are ways, laws that exist in the books, legalities, various bills or stipulations that are allowed for the president that could mean that he could get rid of student debt. He could decrease. He could decrease poverty immensely, giving people. He could change the way poverty is measured, which is what the right wing has been doing to slowly, basically, act like people aren't poor when they're desperately poor. He could do the opposite and say, here's how we should really measure poverty. And all of a sudden, all these people that didn't count as poor, even though they're very much struggling, all of a sudden they do count as poor. They get all the benefits. They get public housing. They get food stamps. They get a lot of help to deal with their situation. And all these things can be done on day one. And Joe Biden's probably not going to do any of them. And in fact, in that leaked conference call where he was asked to do certain things, he basically yelled at the people on the call and said, I can't do all these things. They're unconstitutional. It's unconstitutional to do all that. Horse shit. No, it's not. It's perfectly constitutional. And furthermore, ending the war on terror, the war on terror is unconstitutional. The endless war is unconstitutional. So he could end it on day one and actually be furthering the Constitution, actually be putting us back in line with the Constitution rather than just endless war, endless bombing, endless destruction of countries around the globe. And yet, here you have Joe Biden already, before he's even in office, he's yelling on conference calls, I'm not doing any of that stuff. It's unconstitutional. But if the Democrats really wanted to deal with the problems in this country that Trump has he's fucking set threw a match into. He has lit it on fire, but the fuel was all there. The kindling was all there. It was just sitting there, all the little balled up pieces of paper. They were all just sitting there, just lots of dry, super dry paper, just there, just little pieces of balsa wood, just all there. Those Duraflame logs, those were there, just all sitting there, that was all before Trump got into office. And then he walked up and went. And so right now, the Democrats are like, well, let's fucking fuck up this guy who threw the match. Well, okay, go ahead. He did throw the match. I agree. Do whatever you fucking want to him. But that's not going to stop the fire or the kindling. And anyway, maybe I'll be so incredibly surprised. Maybe on day one, Joe Biden will do everything I'm talking about and we'll be like, holy shit, look at that. But I don't think so. And if you look at the people he's putting he wants in his cabinet, he wants in all these positions. Samantha Powers, he just added to he wants her to head USAID, which is basically a CIA cutout, creating coups around the world. And now Mrs. I've never met a country I didn't want to bomb to save them. She'll be running that. So yeah, it's always good to get your lead bombers in at the coup manufacturing plant. We're gonna send her down to the coup manufacturing plant. She's gonna be running that show. She likes fucking up other countries. So she has quite a resume of working to fuck up other countries. So we're gonna put her at the head of the coup manufacturing plant. Good call, Biden. So yeah, if they really wanted to deal with this, then this largely meaningless impeachment vote is not the way to go about it. Like I said, I'm not saying I don't think Trump should be impeached. I'm fine with him being impeached. Fucking dude did set up an armed insurrection at the Capitol. And make no mistake about it, if he had the power, if the Pentagon would turn on a dime at his command, he would tell them, fucking round up Congress, I'm staying president. I have no doubt. The only thing is there are some little minimal checks on our systems that have stopped him from doing that. And so far. But you wouldn't be in this situation right now if the Democrats hadn't failed at every turn to actually stand up for people. And of course the Republicans as well. I mean, if they did shit for people, this would also be a different conversation. Okay, I have a few more topics I want to talk about, or a few more points I want to make. Please share this feed. Please let people know. Thanks for joining. Thanks for the comments. I'll try to answer a few questions at the end, or respond to any comments if I see some good ones. But let's see. Oh yeah, I wanted to talk about how, I don't know if you watched any of this fucking debate. Oh, Marilyn says I'm deranged. Thank you, Marilyn. It's the biggest compliment I've ever gotten. I'm guessing Marilyn's in those 33% who think that, QAnon has really got their shit together. Who think the billionaire who has never actually shaken hands with a single one of his supporters, who has just given massive tax cuts to the richest people in the country and fucked over workers at every turn, as would a Democrat. She thinks he's a good idea. He's doing great. He's doing a damn good job. Anyway, I don't know if you watched any of this debate in the Congress, so-called debate over this impeachment today, but just the breadth of the horse shit being said by both sides is really phenomenal. I mean, on the Democratic side, you got guys, you got men and women saying this was the most egregious thing a president has ever done. We have never seen anything like this. And it's like, I mean, yeah, it was bad. It was gruesome. It was awful. But I would argue creating the largest prison state the world has ever known, also bad. Also goes on the list of bad, you know? And Joe Biden is, I'd give him about 50% of responsibility for that. So yeah, largest prison state the world has ever known. I'd say that's probably worse. I'd say that's even worse than what just happened at the Capitol. Allowing people to starve to death and die from medical needs in a for-profit healthcare system, tens of thousands every year. I'd say that's worse. I'd say that's probably worse. Yeah. Fucking tearing families apart, tearing kids away from their parents, putting some of them in cages, shipping people to countries they haven't been back to in 20 years, don't know what the fuck's happening, and you're destroying a family, separating them. Some of them never get back together. And that was done by both, by Bush, Obama, Trump. I'd say that's worse. I'd say it's even worse. Yeah. So all these Democratic Congress people getting up there and going, this is the worst thing we've ever seen. No, it's not. Yeah, it's fucking bad. Not the worst thing you've ever seen. Not even the worst thing this year. Dropping a bomb every 12 minutes. Many of them, as the CIA's own papers revealed, 90-some% hit secondary targets, what's a secondary target? It means not a target. It means largely innocent civilians. I'd say that's worse. I'd say that's even worse than fucking being shirtless with bison horns and standing at the front of the Senate. Again, I'm not saying what they did is good. I'm saying it's fucked up. I'm saying many of those people should be arrested. But it's not the worst thing we've ever seen. Simply not. And if you want to go back further, what about the Trail of Tears? How about that? I'd say that was worse. Civil War, when millions of people killed. I'd say that was worse. Yeah, slavery. I know that's a controversial statement. I know it is. What happened at the insurrection at the Capitol with those fucking idiots? One of them had a Auschwitz T-shirt on. Fucking awful human beings. So they knocked papers off of Nancy Pelosi's desk. Okay. I've seen the photos. They knocked papers off of her desk, and it's terrible. It's bad. Okay. I'm not arguing that it wasn't bad, but in terms of worst thing we've ever seen in the United States, I'd say slavery. Little worse. Just a touch. Okay. Just a touch. And I know that's controversial to say slavery was worse. To say, owning human beings and destroying their entire lives and killing many of them. But yeah, I'd say it's slightly worse. Just like a hair worse. So you've got all these Democratic Congress people jumping up there and saying worst thing they've ever seen, worst thing that's ever happened in America. Horseshit. Then you have the Republicans getting up there and going, They all were saying, oh, yeah, what happened in the Capitol was bad, but Trump did nothing wrong. What a good guy Trump is. Trump, if you actually listen to his statements, he said wonderful things. It was the best statements ever made. It was best ever. He said the best things ever said. And, these fucking fawning, goddamn, ass-licking fucking shitheads, they're pathetic. They're pathetic, and they're owned by their own corporate interest, and Trump fawning on Trump. It's just pathetic. And honestly, what's changed over the last few months is that corporate America has turned on Trump. Until recently, for the most part, they had not. They were fine with it. I mean, despite all the horrific things Trump has done, he was largely good for corporate America. The trade deal, the trade wars, they didn't like so much, but he gave them massive tax breaks. He made it so they never had to fear that anything was going to be regulated against them, and now things are getting the business community, as they're called, the ruling elite, are getting nervous that Trump is making the machine run not smoothly. He's making the ride bumpy. And so corporate America is now turning on Trump. And it took until now. It took until like a week ago for them to decide to do that for the most part. However, that being said, you shouldn't be celebrating all of the oppression that's going on right now. You shouldn't be celebrating that Congress people want to put in place new laws for the FBI to investigate someone and all this shit. It's like the FBI's got plenty of power. Okay, when they ask for a warrant, they're giving it 99% of the time. Okay, the FISA court doesn't. They let them spy on everyone. The FBI and the CIA and all of them have plenty of power. All the cops, they have plenty of power. They don't need more power, okay? That is not the problem here. The problem is ignoring the inequality and the exploitation of Americans across the country. That's the problem. If you want to address this, you address that. Allowing for more oppression is not the answer. Taking privacy away even further is not the answer. As no matter how much you may hate Trump, no matter how much you may love to see him impeached today, no matter how much you may love to see him leave office, losing more of our rights is not the fucking answer, okay? Everyone seems to think that something bad happens and then it's, just give away more of our rights. That'll fix it. That'll fix it. That'll do it. Fucking no, it won't. And what's going on online right now? Here's the thing. Like I said in a previous video, I have no problem with Trump losing his Twitter account. That's an incredibly powerful human being who blows up. I mean, he fucking blew up Iran's top general along with top officials in Iraq in a drone strike. Basically for the fun of it. I mean, there was no good reason to do it. Israel asked him to, and he was like, all right, let's see what happens. So he was killing people just for the fuck of it. This is a horrible human being with a ton of power, with the nuclear codes, with the largest military in the world. So I'm not gonna shed a tear over him losing his Twitter account. Really not, considering the harm he's caused. But as I said before, that should also go for Obama and Clinton's and anybody else who kills thousands of people. They also should have a Twitter account. But instead, what is this being used for? What is this armed insurrection being used for? It's being used to not purge Trump from these platforms, but to purge tens of thousands of people. The last headline I read said 70,000 QAnon people have had their Twitters taken away. Ron Paul tweeted that his Facebook has been banned, and so many others. And Glenn Greenwald put it best. He tweeted out, should we just make an announcement that the internet is only for liberals? Because that's where we're headed. That only liberals are allowed to use the internet. You have to agree with every state point, every corporate talking point. You have to be inside this it's called the Overton window, the little box of allowable thought. And then you can say whatever you want. Just stay within those confines. Don't question corporate America. Don't question capitalism. Don't question endless war. Just stay inside this window, and then you can use the internet. That's where we're headed. There's a big difference, in my opinion, between banning a war criminal who's killing people on a daily basis, killing innocent civilians on a daily basis, and banning 70,000 idiots who believe QAnon. I don't like that there's that many idiots believing nonsense. I don't love it. I don't love that 33% of America apparently believes is nonsense. But banning people because they believe something wrong or said something you don't like it's not just a slippery slope. You're already gone down the slope. You're already down it. It's not slippery slopes makes it sound like you're okay. We're okay now, but slippery. Very slippery. It could be worse. You could end up all the way down. No, we're down. We're down. If they're banning tens of thousands of people for believing the wrong thing, then we're already down the goddamn slope. So I hope that you guys aren't celebrating this shit. Sorry for the hair issues. Sometimes it starts to get fucking annoying. Okay, well, in a second, I'm going to start taking any points or questions you might have. We should all be furious at the amount of suppression that's going on. Because, I've said it since the beginning that it'll be used against you and me. I mean, you guys already know probably if you're fans of my stuff that it is used against me. Some of you are watching this on my Facebook page. However, my Facebook is seen by a tiny, tiny fraction of the number of people that follow my page. It's getting near meaningless to have my Facebook page. Despite the fact that 330,000 people follow it, they don't actually get shown the shit I'm doing. And by the way, if you aren't on youtube.com/moment of clarity, please come over to that page because it is less suppressed than my others. So please subscribe at youtube.com/moment of clarity and click the bell icon. That's another fucking goddamn little sleazy tactic they have. Well, he clicked subscribe, but he didn't click the bell icon. So we're not going to tell him about any of that guy's videos because, you got to click the bell. Otherwise, it doesn't fucking mean anything. Well, then why did I fucking subscribe? That was the subscribe. That was why I clicked the button, was to find out about the videos. Now I got to click a bell with the button. Fuck you and your bell. Anyway. This was pretty hilarious in terms of this has to do with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was asked on Twitter, someone asked, why have this vote on impeachment if we know that the Senate is not going to actually have the trial, have the full vote while Trump's in office? What's the point? And Ocasio-Cortez's response is hilarious if you remember the context that just, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, there was a big fight for force the vote to try and get her and the squad and some others to demand a vote on Medicare for all in exchange for their vote for Nancy Pelosi for speaker. And if they had all united then they could have gotten Nancy Pelosi to promise to give a floor vote for Medicare for all. And the arguments against that, and I'm not going to go through all the details. You guys already heard it, but the arguments against doing that was it doesn't matter. It's not going to get through the Senate. We'll do it later when it matters more, when we think we can get the votes. It's not going to pass. And so someone asked Ocasio-Cortez, why do this impeachment vote in the House if it doesn't matter? Trump's leaving office anyway. We know it's not going to go through the Senate. It's kind of dead right now. So why do it? And here is Ocasio-Cortez's amazing response. She says, here are the reasons for doing it. Sometimes it's to get members on record so people can't make excuses later. Sometimes these votes create real political pressure that forces developments. Sometimes we vote for the historical record to let future generations know we did everything we could. Interesting. That sounds like all of the reasons that people wanted to vote for Medicare for all. Those are all the things. Ocasio-Cortez is suddenly for this game plan. She suddenly likes this game plan, forcing people to get on the record as either voting for or against. She's talking about impeachment, but we were talking about Medicare for all. If you put it in floor vote, then you have people on the record as either for or against Medicare for all. You have people that you can force and pressure more if there is a vote. It adds to the historical record to show people, look, we tried to get you health care. We tried. And the other people who didn't want it, who wanted to continue a for-profit system that destroys so many lives, destroys millions of lives a year, they were against it. Here's the historical record. Here's the proof. And then the most important one on this list, which she says right there, is sometimes you do it to create pressure, to create developments, right? The votes can create real political pressure that forces developments. Wow. That sounds exactly like what we were saying. Thank you, Ocasio-Cortez, for suddenly agreeing with the reasons to force the vote for Medicare for all. Even though you were opposed to it before, even though you called those of us who wanted it, you called us violent for saying there should be a vote. But here you are, giving all the reasons that it'd be a great idea to have a vote on Medicare for all, even if it doesn't pass this time. Guess what? You can have another vote later. You create pressure. You create movement. You create energy amongst the people. There it is. Thank you, Ocasio-Cortez, for suddenly agreeing with all of the reasons that we had said you should force the vote for Medicare for all. Okay. Let's see here if we have any good questions. Thanks for following and for hanging out with me. I do these almost every single weekday. No, you know what? I do these every single weekday, except sometimes. And they're all at leecamp.com. So if you don't see them, if they don't pop up in your feed because of all the suppression, go to leecamp.com and find it there. Let's see. I can tell some of you are not fans of Ocasio-Cortez. I think she needs to actually prove that she's going to live up to all the promises she made and all the things she said that she was going to fight for. I think she needs to fucking prove it. And then she'd probably have more fans. Let's see. Jerome says that when you subscribe to me, the CIA puts you on a list. Yeah, but it's a cool list. The coolest. Nothing like being on the subscribe to Lee Camp CIA list. Well, I don't see any questions. Great comments, though. Beverly says, I'm lucky to have hair. Thank you. It is true. Others do not. Gotta understand that. Raphael wants to know, why are there progressives that seem to always make excuses for Trump but constantly attack progressives? Does that make sense to you? I mean, yeah, I guess you'd have to give me examples. There are many that, I don't know that they make excuses for Trump, but there are many that don't spend their time on Trump. I have made it clear before Trump was ever even elected, I made it clear that he was a horror show, that he was a wannabe dictator, that he was a racist, that he was a corporatist, that he was didn't give a flying fuck about a single other human being than himself. I said that before he ever got into office. And on Redacted Tonight, I covered it. However, if you probably look at the percentage of time I spent on Trump versus the percentage of time I spent on other things, it is not that large a percent, maybe 5 or 10% or something. And the reason I know I do that, I can't speak for whoever else you're talking about, but I know the reason I do that is because just simply trashing Trump you can get that everywhere. Go flip on CNN, MSNBC. That's not what I do. I'm not one of those people that just does, hi, I'm MSNBC. Here's all the awful things Trump did today. I assume you get your fill of that, so you don't need it. What we lack most in this country is not criticism of Trump. It's criticism of the Democrats from the left. It is true left-wing people actually fighting and speaking for peace. People in the media, if you call what I do media, I hope you do, that are genuinely and purely for peace, anti-corporate, anti-capitalism, for helping those who are starving, who are hungry, who are struggling, and just continue to hammer away at those needs. And fighting for the environment is another one. We had that almost does not exist. There's a fucking handful of us. And so that's what I feel needs to happen, needs to be said, needs to be talked about. And that's why I don't spend that much time on Trump. I have said more awful things about him than even CNN was willing to say, or MSNBC. Okay. I was photoshopping his head onto Hitler's body on Redacted Tonight before he ever got elected into office. So there's not been a lack of criticism of Trump on my part, unless you think I'm supposed to spend 50% of my time talking about him, he's not the problem. He is a problem, but the problem in our society that is crushing our society is the fact that profit over all else and corporate rule, it runs the show. It runs both of these parties, and all that matters to them is being rich, is having as much money as possible, as much money and resources. They will kill anyone. They will destroy countries. They will create failed states. They will allow babies to die in their fucking beds if it makes the American empire stronger or wealthier. And to me, that is what needs to be talked about. If you're spending all your time on Donald Trump, then you are just yelling about the shiny object that's in the way of the actual problem, that's dancing in front of the actual problem. It is like a forest fire. The whole goddamn world is on fire, and you have this fucking clown dancing at the front going, ah! And if you sit there yelling about him, you're missing the fact that everything's burning down behind him. Let's see. Anything else? And by the way, me not being able to find a question answer does not mean these aren't good comments. It's just many of them are comments and not questions. Carl Knight, I assume sarcastically, says, I'm looking forward to the coming right-wing xenophobia against China during Biden's administration. Liberal Russophobia needs balancing. I don't think it's just going to be right-wing. I think that the liberal, so I guess the Chinophobia is xenophobia, S-I-N-O. Xenophobia and Russophobia, it's all going to come from both sides. It's going to come from Republicans and Democrats, which yet again, I mean, the Republicans do less of the Russophobia, I guess. Well, not really. Trump does less of it, I guess. But and by the way, for those who think who still believe the liberal media talking point that Trump is Putin's puppet or whatever, Trump's administration has put more sanctions on Russia than Obama ever did. He's done a lot of horrible things for Russia. So Trump has not been good for Russia. That is just a liberal media talking point that they just say again and again, and they think it's true if they just say it a lot. But pulling out of all these arms treaties that Russia did not want to pull out of, pushing further, with the Ukraine and everything else towards Russia's territory, the sanctions on diplomats, on Russia in various ways. Trump has been a disaster for Russia. So I know that some people want to believe he's just, he just does everything Putin wants. It's not true. So anyway, this xenophobia, both against China and Russia, it will continue, and it will continue from both parties, because America is a lot of our society is, it's not in full collapse yet, but it's getting there due to immense inequality. You can't have a society this unequal and have people exploited, the workers exploited to this level, and not have it be incredibly unstable. So America's power is dwindling, and now it's lashing out like a caged tiger or a cornered tiger. It is, and it's going to keep going against the government's going to keep going against China and Russia in every way they can, because those are the two most powerful forces for now. And rather than creating a cooperative world, a world where we work together, say, to deal with a pandemic, to deal with the fact that we're killing the globe with climate change and environmental destruction, that is the only path forward. It's the only path that doesn't lead to our extinction, is working together with other countries. Doesn't matter how repulsive you may find people, how much you may hate Chinese people, if you want to be racist, but the only way we're going to survive for long as a species is cooperation. And so we got to get on that, but instead you have both parties, Republican and Democrat, just trying to destroy other countries, create coups, create hardships, sell weapons to countries that can threaten China and Russia. It's just the opposite of where things need to go. Okay, I think I'm going to wrap it up here in a second. Anna asks, is it possible for the left to be unified? Stop it. Stop it. Oh, that's hilarious. I needed a good joke to close on. Oh, what remains of the left is so easily splintered and led to attacking each other. I think the only way we create large-scale change is to work together, is to stop attacking each other. But that doesn't mean there can't be criticism. if you want to. So let's, for the sake of argument, let's assume Ocasio-Cortez is a progressive. The squad is progressive. Saying that endless attacking is not going to work, it does not mean don't be critical. And I think we should be highly critical of those who promised to behave in a certain way once they got to Congress and are not living up to it. Unity, working together on things. If a group of people says we're going to fight for Medicare for all, then I will work together with that group of people. And that's the key. The key is not to just give them a pass for everything. It seems that a lot of people that claim to be progressive media online, independent media, smaller media outlets, they think their job is to just endlessly protect the squad, just argue for anything they do. When Ocasio-Cortez tweeted that John McCain was the man of the greatest human decency, they feel they need to defend that. Yeah, don't fucking defend that. Call that what it is, pathetic. So we should work together on issues to get things done rather than endless purity tests. People, the left loves a purity test, such as you're not a person of color, or you're not a woman, or you can't feel my oppression, because you have white privilege, and therefore I won't work together with. We need to be working together, but we need to work together on issues, and we need to be critical of those who are not delivering, because acting like the Democrats are somehow creating a better world, because you're trying to be unified, is not the answer, and will do nothing. It will just continue to take us farther and farther to the right, and towards the death cult that is unfettered capitalism. All right. Thank you guys for joining me. I do these every single day, except every single weekday, except sometimes. And they're at leecamp.com. Please click subscribe over at youtube.com/moment of clarity. Also, I have a new Rockfin channel, ROKFIN.com/leecamp. You can go over there. There's free videos. There's also some premium stuff as well. And check that out. But yeah, please keep sharing these. And I have a new article over at Scheer Post, SCHEER, named after Robert Scheer, one of the greatest journalists to still be working out there. And so check sheerpost.com and check out my article. Please share it. Let people know. All right. Thank you so much, and keep fighting.